I own the house, and yet you demand rent from me. So let me get this straight. You're standing on my porch waving a rent notice. For my house? The audacity hit me like a freight train. See, 3 weeks ago I held the deed, the keys, and every right to this property. But apparently someone forgot to tell them that. And what happened next? Let's just say this went from a simple misunderstanding to a full-blown war over who really owns what. Buckle up, because this gets wild.
Hey, store lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
The man on my porch didn't even blink. He was tall, dressed in a cheap suit, and held a clipboard like it was a weapon. His name, according to the laminated ID clipped to his pocket, was Kevin Harris. "The first of the month is in 3 days," he said, his voice flat. "I'm just making the rounds, introducing myself. I manage this property. Rent is due on the 1st, no exceptions. Late fees are steep." I laughed. It was a short, sharp sound of disbelief. "You manage my property? I just bought this property. 3 weeks ago, I own it. Outright. Here." I shoved the closing documents I still had in my briefcase toward him. I was Lisa Perez, and this house was everything. I'd worked double shifts for 6 years, saved every dime, fought through a brutal bidding war. This was mine. Kevin barely glanced at the papers. "That's cute," he said, a small, smug smile playing on his lips. "Lots of paperwork in this business, but my list says this address pays rent to me. See you on the 1st. He turned and walked, not hurried, not worried, just entitled. I slammed the door, my hands shaking. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a power play. I immediately called my lawyer, Gregory Baker. He was baffled but reassuring. "Lisa, it's impossible," Gregory said over the phone. "The title is clean. We ran the search 3 times. Your name is on the deed. It's recorded with the county. You are the sole legal owner. He's a scam artist. Ignore him." Ignore him? Right, that was the plan. For the next 48 hours I tried. I unpacked boxes, hung pictures, breathed in the smell of new paint. I was the owner. I was safe. Then I came home from work. My key didn't fit the lock. I jiggled it, jammed it in, but the mechanism wouldn't turn. It was different. A cold dread, colder than the evening air, crept up my spine. I knocked. The door opened. It was him, Kevin Harris. He was wearing my bathrobe. "Can I help you?" he asked, as if I were a stranger selling cookies. "What are you doing in my house?" I shrieked, pushing past him. The house was different. My boxes were shoved into a corner. A different couch was in the living room, his couch. "Your house," he said, raising an eyebrow. He followed me inside, closing and locking the door behind us. "I think you're confused. I live here. I'm the primary tenant. You've been, well, trespassing." "I own this house," I screamed. I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. "I'm calling the police. Get out." "Go ahead," he said, sitting on his sofa. He pointed to the guest room. "I've been in the guest room for 6 months. You must be the new landlord. Look, I already told you rent is paid to me. But since you're here, I suppose you can stay. For now." This was gaslighting on a level I couldn't comprehend. He was trying to make me the crazy one. 2 officers arrived. Their names were Robert Williams and Jennifer Smith. They looked tired. I explained the situation, showing them my deed, my mortgage papers, my driver's license with this address. "She's been harassing me, officers," Kevin said calmly, interrupting me. He produced his own folder. "This is a simple civil matter. I am the legal tenant of this property." He handed them a document. It was a lease agreement. Signed, dated, from 8 months ago. It was supposedly signed by the previous owner, granting him a 2-year lease. "And," Kevin added, "this woman, Ms. Perez, has been threatening me. I feel unsafe. She keeps claiming she owns the place. I think she's obsessed." The officers looked at my papers. They looked at his. They looked at each other. "Ma'am," Officer Williams said, "we see you have a deed. And sir, we see you have a lease. This is a civil dispute." He broke in. He changed my locks. I yelled, my voice cracking. Can you prove he broke in? Officer Smith asked. He claims he's lived here for months. You claim you moved in 3 weeks ago. We can't determine ownership on a porch. We can't make him leave. So what am I supposed to do? I asked, desperation welling in my throat. You'll have to take him to court, Officer Williams said. File for an eviction, but for tonight. You can't both be here. Since he's established, he gestured at the sofa, we can't forcibly remove him. It's a legal nightmare. They were telling me to leave my own home. I spent that night in a hotel, the fluorescent lights humming, my mind racing. This wasn't a random scam. This was a hostile takeover. The next morning, I was at Gregory Baker's office. He was no longer calm. He was furious, his face white. He's good, Lisa. He's very good, Gregory said, clicking through a database. While we were on the phone, he was filing. He didn't just have that fake lease. He filed an eviction notice against you. I stared at him. He's evicting me. He's claiming you're a hostile subletter who has failed to pay him rent, Gregory said. He's trying to muddy the water to clog the system. He's claiming his lease supersedes your purchase. But the previous owner, surely they can clear this up. We've been trying to reach them, Gregory said grimly. They're on a cruise, unreachable for 2 weeks. Kevin had planned this. He knew the window. It gets worse, Gregory said, his voice dropping. He filed another document this morning, a quitclaim deed. A what? A document that transfers ownership. He filed a forged quitclaim deed, supposedly signed by you, granting the property to a shell corporation he controls. But I never signed anything. He's not just trying to live in your house, Lisa, Gregory said, looking me dead in the eye. He's trying to steal it. He's building a paper trail of a complete fantasy, and he's making you the villain in his story. The judge gave us an emergency hearing. We had 72 hours. 72 hours to prove I owned my own home. We dove into the paperwork, the forged deed, the fake lease. Kevin Harris was a ghost. He had no assets, no history. He was a professional squatter, a legal terrorist, but the signature on that quitclaim deed, it was good, too good, and it was notarized. If we can prove the notary was in on it, I started. Way ahead of you, Gregory said. They tracked down the notary public. He was a terrified young man working out of a male annex. He swore he'd done nothing wrong. The woman who came in, she had the ID, the notary said, wringing his hands. It all matched. Lisa Perez, it was her. It wasn't me, I insisted. Who else was there? Gregory pressed. Some guy, the guy who set up the appointment. He paid cash, but he wasn't the one who signed. This was a dead end. Someone had impersonated me. We were running out of time. We had 24 hours until the hearing. Gregory was packing his office, frantic. This is too clean. He had to know your signature. He had to know the exact moment the previous owners were unavailable. He had to have inside help. He stopped. Inside help. He turned to his computer, his face pale. He typed furiously. His eyes scanned his own office calendar, his client database. Oh no, he whispered. What? I demanded. The appointment with the notary, it was booked by someone in my office, using my firm's account. My blood ran cold. Who? Gregory stormed out of his office. I followed. He walked straight to the desk of his senior paralegal, Margaret Mitchell, a woman who had been at every meeting, a woman who had handled my closing. Margaret, Gregory said, his voice dangerously low. Why did you book a notary for a Lisa Perez 2 days ago? Margaret dropped her pen. The color drained from her face. She looked up, her eyes wide with terror. She started to stammer. It was a mix-up. Who asked you to do it, Margaret? Gregory roared. Margaret burst into tears. I didn't know what it was for. He said it was just paperwork. He gave me money. I have so many debts. Who? I grabbed her desk. Who gave you the money? It was your cousin, she sobbed. Your cousin, Scott Lopez. The name hit me like a physical blow. Scott. My cousin, who had sneered when I'd told him I was buying a house. The one who always said I got lucky with the small inheritance I'd used for the down payment, an inheritance he felt he deserved. This wasn't a stranger. This wasn't a random scam. This was family. This was a declaration of war. Scott wanted my house. He wanted it lock, stock, and barrel. He'd hired Kevin Harris to be the muscle, the face of the operation. He'd used Margaret to get access to my signature, my file, my closing date. He planned to forge the deed, have Kevin live there, and then sell the house out from under me, leaving me with the mortgage and nothing. The hearing was a pressure cooker. The room was small, suffocating. Kevin Harris was there in his cheap suit, looking smug. His lawyer was presenting the stack of fake documents, the lease, the forged quitclaim deed, the eviction notice. And in the back row, watching, was Scott Lopez. "Your Honor," Kevin's lawyer said, "it's clear. My client is the legal tenant and, per this quitclaim deed, the representative of the property's new corporate owner. Ms. Perez is trespassing and has refused to pay rent. We ask for her immediate formal removal." The judge looked at me. "Ms. Perez, your lawyer has filed a motion to dismiss, claiming forgery. That is a very serious allegation. What proof do you have?" Gregory Baker stood. He looked magnificent. "Your Honor," he said, his voice echoing in the small room, "we not only have an allegation, we have a confession." Kevin Harris's smile twitched. Scott Lopez sat up straighter. "We have a sworn affidavit from the notary public, admitting the signer's identity was not properly verified. And more importantly, we have a full confession from the co-conspirator who orchestrated the forgery, who stole Ms. Perez's signature from my own files, and who booked the fraudulent appointment." He slapped the affidavit from Margaret Mitchell onto the judge's bench. "This entire proceeding is a fraud," Gregory announced. Kevin's lawyer jumped up, stammering about hearsay, but the judge was already reading. "But we are not done, Your Honor," Gregory said, his voice like steel. "Because the architect of this entire conspiracy, the man who hired Mr. Harris, the man who bribed my paralegal, the man who is attempting to steal this house, is in this courtroom today." Gregory turned and pointed directly at the back row. "It's him, Scott Lopez." For a second, the world stopped. Scott's face went from shock to pure, unfiltered rage. He lunged for the door. "Bailiff, stop him," the judge yelled. The courtroom exploded. The bailiffs grabbed Scott as he scrambled for the handle. Kevin Harris was on his feet, looking betrayed. He was the fall guy, and he knew it. "This hearing is over," the judge bellowed. He slammed his gavel. "The quitclaim deed is null and void. The eviction is dismissed with prejudice. I am ordering the immediate arrest of Mr. Harris and Mr. Lopez on charges of conspiracy, forgery, and perjury. Officers, remove Mr. Harris from that property. Today." I walked out of the courthouse, a locksmith's van following me. I stood on my porch, the same porch where this war began. The lock, the stock, and the barrel, they were all mine again. I put the new key in the new lock. It turned. I walked inside. The house was empty, silent, and for the first time in 3 weeks, it was home.